Welcome to Chapter 8 of my softball protocol called Advanced Footwork. Today we're going to review some advanced footwork concepts beginning with the off-foot throw, then we'll revisit the Derek Jeter style throw, and then finally we'll review the footwork for some shorter throws. These are things that our second baseman will often use to throw to first, or our shortstop may often use to throw to second to turn a double play. Let's begin with the off-foot throw. First, we need to define the off-foot throw so that we're all on the same page. Let's begin with reviewing a normal throw. Normally, when I step and I throw the ball, I'm throwing off of my glove side foot. So what an off-foot throw means is when I step to throw, I'm now throwing off my throwing hand side foot instead of my glove side foot. What this means is I'm losing a lot of power on my throw because I'm not able to push off of my back foot and throw when I'm doing the off-foot throw and throwing off that back foot. So we need to be careful when we're doing the off-foot throw to make sure that we're doing it properly, but also at the correct time. Usually we're only ever doing an off-foot throw when we're having our momentum going through the ball to make up for the lack of power that we'll have on our throw, because the off-foot throw is going to be a lot of upper body compared to as much lower body as we normally have with our regular throw off our glove side foot. To execute this off-foot throw, we're going to essentially eliminate the pop step from our footwork. Let's review. Normally, if I'm going to field a ball, I'm stepping to catch, I'm popping, and then I step and throw off my glove side foot. However, the difference in an off-foot throw is now I'm still stepping to catch off my glove side foot, but now I'm throwing off of my throwing hand side foot as I move through the ball. So you can see how essentially that pop step is eliminated. As we've reviewed, this pop step is a really powerful step that's going to get a lot of velocity on our throw. And now that we're eliminating this step, we need to be really intentional about when we're going to use this off-foot throw on the field. But let's break it down a little bit more by starting with an off-foot throw on a ball that we're receiving out of the air. I get ready in my ready position and I step to catch as normal. However, now, if I'm going to throw straight on, I'm getting my toe pointed to where I'm throwing as I make the transfer and step so that I can step and I throw. Doing this off-foot throw, it's really important to be pristine in our upper body throwing mechanics such that we're using our offhand or our glove side hand to get torque on our throw and help us get as much power as possible since we're losing a lot of lower half power on our throw. The second thing to note is that when you're first learning the off-foot throw, it's really important to think of it as just 2 steps compared to our normal 3. Step 1 is catch to step, and step 2 is throw, where I'm throwing off my throwing hand side foot. It's really important when you're first learning this to say it out loud as you do it. When I was first taught this, we all got in a line and did 1, 2, throw. And then we would repeat until it was second nature, 1, 2, and the ball was gone as soon as you said the number 2. This is a very, very quick movement. To practice the off-foot throw as a team, I first started by having 2 separate lines. So one line would start across from the other, and players would be about 30 feet away from each other, not the full baseline apart. And we would do the off-foot throw and say 1, 2 for our step to catch and our throw. And then we would follow our throw back to the other line and get in line and repeat and just keep going through the cycle. This is the best way to learn by saying out loud 1, 2. This helps players understand that 1 is step to catch, and by 2, the ball should be gone and off to the next line. The correct way to do this drill is essentially practicing kind of a rundown almost without a runner. So you're doing 1, 2, and then you're following through to the next line on the side that you just threw the ball from and getting in line that way. If you throw and then follow through to your glove side, that's not what we do in a rundown, so it's kind of creating bad habits for when players remember they're kind of in a similar situation once they get to practicing a rundown and peel off in the wrong direction. Something that's really important to note when you're doing this drill is an off-foot throw is very challenging to do with a bad throw. So it's really important to hit your partner in their chest and give them a good throw so they have an opportunity to practice a good off-foot throw repetition. Since we're eliminating the pop step with the off-foot throw, if I have to step to catch over here, but I'm throwing straight on, it's really hard to get my momentum and have any kind of remotely decent off-foot throw going in a different direction. Usually for the off-foot throw on the field, we're using this in a situation where we're already running through the catch and going more in the direction of where we're trying to throw the ball than normal. Usually I'm not fielding this ball and then having to change direction to do an off-foot throw because I'm losing a lot of power. In the event that I am changing direction in a big way to do this, this almost resembles that Derek Jeter type throw that we've kind of reviewed and that we'll review a little bit later in this video. Let's review some repetitions of this off-foot throw. As you can see, the first thing I want you to notice is how quick the player is moving through the catch. They say 1, 2, and immediately the ball is gone on 2 when the right foot is landing and pushing off to get some power behind the throw. Have players, when they first start out, say 1 for step to catch and 2 for the throw so that they can be focused on only doing 2 steps and not get confused and actually do a pop step instead of just the 1, 2 for the proper off-foot throw. The second thing to notice is how quick this is and how important it is to have a fast transfer in order to be able to do an off-foot throw properly. Usually our upper half is going to be the slowest part of this off-foot throw mechanics, so the faster our transfer, the faster that we can move through the ball and move our feet to be on time to get rid of this ball on the off-foot throw. Let's now move on to learning how to do an off-foot throw from a ground ball. Usually this is going to be something that a player may use when there's a chopping, kind of high hopping ball that they may have to go short hop and then run and throw to first base. Oftentimes, this is going to be a very common play made on the field when a slapper is the player on offense. Other times this may be made would be any time that there's kind of a slow roller ground ball or oftentimes a bunt type situation where we need to get the ball in and out as quick as possible since the runner had a lot of time to run before we were able to actually get our hands on the ball. Just like with fielding this ball out of the air, I step to catch but instead am on the ground. When I do an off-foot throw or catch a short hop in this situation, depending on the type of hop I get, which I'll review more in a later video, I may even field this ball outside my foot. However, if you're doing the off-foot throw, it's appropriate to do either inside the glove side foot or outside. Outside is going to be more rare and is going to be a ball that's coming a lot heavier and is going to have a higher hop than a ball that I'm able to catch inside my glove side foot. Inside my glove side foot, I'm looking for one of those slow rollers, more traditional type of ground balls to catch. So to do the off-foot throw, I'm stepping to catch, I'm pushing through the catch, and then I'm throwing. The difference between when I was catching the ball out of the air and on the ground is that I still stay low. If I take this ball and then stand up for the off-foot throw, I just lost a lot of momentum as we've reviewed a lot. So be sure to stay low so that you maintain that power in your legs so you can have some more velocity on the ball than if you had stood up. Second, standing up takes time, and we don't ever want to waste time in a situation where we're already trying to get the ball to our target as fast as possible. To put it all together, to do this off-foot throw, I step to catch, and then I transfer and I throw off my throwing side foot. Usually I'm only using this play when I'm running and I've been sprinting to get this ball and have a lot of momentum already going through the catch that I can take and put towards my throw to my target. We can practice the off-foot throw from ground balls in the same way that I described we can practice with a ball out of the air. Players should start in 2 separate lines facing each other, and the players are, instead of going to throw the ball, are going to roll the ball to their target. What this would look like if I'm the one receiving the ball is I'm stepping to catch, and then I'm doing an off-foot throw, but I'm just doing the motion of the throw because then I'm going to roll the ball back to my partner who's in the other line, and then I follow my roll and get in the back of the other line. This is a great way to practice as you can continue doing the footwork and doing all of kind of the movements that you would need to do for a full off-foot throw, but then are able to reset and give your partner a good ground ball so that they can practice a good repetition as well. Let's review probably the most advanced kind of off-foot throw that you can make on the field. This is what we've already reviewed and is called the Derek Jeter style throw. I've explained and showed an example for a very deep angle ball that's in the 5-6 hole that a shortstop might try and field and then throw back to first base or even second base if there's an opportunity to do so. Today I'm going to review this throw for maybe when a second baseman is pulled really far up the middle to go catch this ball that's deep and they need to get the ball back to first base as soon as possible. This is probably a more realistic example of how this play can actually be made in our game of softball since it's so fast, and this is going to be a shorter throw than what we would see of a shortstop that's deep in the 5-6 hole. So to do the Derek Jeter style throw as a second baseman, you're already starting pretty deep in the field, and now this ball's hit. So we have to go charge this ball, and we're taking an angle back to go get this ball. And as you field it, you're catching, and this is almost a reverse off-foot throw because I'm catching off my throwing side foot, and as I'm turning and transferring, I'm landing with my glove side foot, jumping and throwing back to first base. The most important thing of this play is having a clean transfer and getting your head turned over to your target as soon as possible. This play is very hard to make in softball because we're losing all of our lower half power that's normally behind our throw because we're jumping vertically and relying all on our upper body to get that ball back to our target. So again, to go field this ball, the second baseman's starting, they're going to get this ball and they field off their throwing side foot, jump, turn, and throw. Again, leverage all the torque that you can from your glove side upper half and act like your elbow's trying to punch something that's behind you so that you get all the torque and power you can on this throw. The Derek Jeter play is so fun but so hard to do in the game of softball, but is something that is really good to know because you never know when you might use it. As a shortstop, probably the only time I ever got to make this play for real in college was on a little blooper that landed behind kind of the pitcher, and I had to jump and throw this ball back to second base. Otherwise, this is a very challenging play to make in a game-like situation. Before we move on to the next topic, I'd like to leave you with one final note about the off-foot throw, and that's the importance of having a fast transfer. As you can see, this play is very quick. It's a 1-2 and the ball is already out of our hands. So it's really important to make sure that you have a good, fast transfer that you're not going to bobble the ball on and are able to get the ball in and out as quick as possible. Review the rock and fire drill and practice that. It's chapter 3 of my softball protocol, and that will really help you learn how to transfer the ball and be very efficient with your catch and then your throw. For the next section of our advanced footwork concepts today, I'm going to review short throws. For these short throws, an example would be I'm playing second base and I get a routine ground ball that I don't have to move laterally very far for, and I'm throwing to first base for a routine play. Other examples would be I'm also at second base, but now I need to throw over to the actual second base to turn a double play with my shortstop. The shortstop will also commonly use these throws to throw to second base to turn a double play, or even to throw to third base for a force play or a tag out. These throws I'm considering advanced footwork because they are one of the exceptions kind of to our step pop throw typical footwork. We'll begin with the short angle throw to our glove side. Right now I'm standing at second base and I'm going to make a maybe 15-30 foot throw over to first base. So this is a very short throw that does not require a lot of power or strength on a routine ground ball that's hit to us that we're fielding in a similar position to where we started. If I'm at second base and I start here and I'm going to come field this ball up here, that's hit pretty hard at me, I'm going to be charging, and instead of normally doing my step, pop, and throw, I don't need all that power behind the throw and can do one of these short throws. What this approach looks like is I'm stepping and approaching with my throwing side foot, and then I step to catch, and I'm a little bit more square-toed than normal. I'm still catching with my glove side foot out in front a little bit, but I don't want to be like this because when I turn to throw, I don't want my knee to be in the way. This is why I say this type of throw is an exception, not the rule, because we really don't want to be catching square-toed if we can help it. However, in this example, I'm catching the ball, and this is like our rock and fire almost. I'm rocking, and then I'm throwing, and I'm staying low in this position. There's a lot to break down here because this is where I often see players end up throwing sidearm or making a lot of mistakes that cause errors that we can certainly avoid. First and foremost is we're still charging this ball, and we're not letting the ball play us, meaning I'm not sitting here waiting for the ball to come to me and letting any kind of bad hop or potential weird thing happening with the ball happen to me. Instead, I'm still charging this ball as normal and playing the ball instead of letting it come to me and play me. So by doing that and catching, I'm able to rock back, and I'm getting all this power in my lower half here, and then throw through. Notice how low I still am to the ground. Mistakes are made when players stand up and then throw this way. Sure, you might have time to do that when you're first starting out, and runners are slower, but that takes time, and then we're also losing some power from our lower half, as we've reviewed ad nauseum, I feel like, at this point. But as a reminder, stay low always when you have the opportunity. The second error that players make is throwing sidearm. When they step to catch this ball and they rock back, my chest is lower to the ground and almost parallel. So as you can see, if I'm throwing here, my arm angle is still normal. It's still at or above the height of my shoulder. The only difference is I'm bent down and throwing like sideways almost, but not side arm. Side arm means the player has dropped their arm to the side, the elbow's a little below the shoulder. And what this would look like from here is they're throwing almost up from the ground to their target. This is a very inaccurate way to throw, also puts more strain on our shoulder, and is generally something we just want to avoid. So to properly make this play, let's review again. I'm stepping to catch, I'm rocking, and I'm throwing, and I'm staying low and keeping a good arm angle to make a throw just as normal, just from a different angle because my hip is hinged and my chest is closer to the ground. There's a second level, if you will, to this footwork for our short throw, where I'm standing at second base here and throwing to first base. And so far I've demonstrated so that I'm catching, I'm rocking, and I'm firing, and my feet are stationary. The next level, if you feel like you want to open up your angle and make the throw a little bit more straight on for yourself, is to drop step with this glove foot. What this looks like is I've charged the ball and now I've fielded, and as I rock back, I drop my back step a little farther behind me, and then I throw. This just opens my chest up to be more in line with my target, and also may make it a little bit easier for me to see my target. Either one of these options is correct, but just notice that I stay low and have a good arm angle no matter which footwork I choose. I'm here, I step back, and I throw. I don't take a really big step back or anything. It's very controlled, slow motion, just to regain my balance, reset, and get my hips and shoulders pointed to my target. Give those two a try, see which one you like, and then also play around with different scenarios where you might use one or the other. For example, if I'm fielding a ball in front of the baseline, I may be more likely to use the step back to get more in line with my target. Versus if I'm fielding the ball back here behind the baseline, my target's kind of already in front of me a little bit, so I may not need to take the step back because I can already see my target is in front of me. Let's review common mistakes players make in this situation for this throw. If they properly step to catch and are rocking back to throw, mistakes are made when they stand up to rock back. Like we've reviewed, this loses power and takes time and is not something we want to do. We always want to stay low to be as efficient as possible. The next easy mistake I see players make doing this drill is, since they're not moving through the catch as much as normal and we're kind of stationary after the catch and through the throw, players forget to push through the catch up to their ear. I should be catching this ball and going straight back to my ear. However, players feel like since they're in this position, they might need to gather to their stomach, and then they transfer and throw. We've reviewed this a number of times as well. Anytime I divert from that straight line that's from the point of the catch to my throwing slot over here, I'm losing time. It takes more time for me to gather to my stomach and then come up to transfer and throw than it does for me to take the ball straight back to where I'm going to be throwing from. Okay, lefties, let's try and give you a demonstration of this throw here. So if I'm approaching this ball and I'm going to go throw it over to my glove side, I'm going to approach, step to catch, rock, and then fire. Alternatively, I'll approach, step to catch, open up with my back leg, and then fire from this angle. Now that we've reviewed how to field this ball at second base and do our short throw over to first base, let's practice the reverse. Now I'm going to field this ball and throw the ball over to second base so my shortstop can turn the double play. Alternatively, your shortstop may use this to throw the ball over to third base. To do this correctly, I'm going to approach as normal and step to catch. And now, to do this correctly, I drop my glove side knee down and I turn and I'm able to throw. Notice how I wasn't super far out in front with my glove side foot like we normally do, because that's very difficult to turn. I'm a little bit more parallel or square to the catch, if you will, so that I can drop this knee and be ready to throw. Let's do that again, slow motion, so that we can break it down a little bit more. I've been charging this ball and I approach with my throwing side foot, and then I step to catch with my glove side foot. Still a little bit out in front of my throwing side foot. I don't really want to be square, but in this situation, it may happen. That's okay. These throws are the exception, not the rule. But I step to catch, and as I'm transferring, my pop step essentially is my glove side knee dropping. So now my shoulders and chest are square to my throw, and then I throw. You should notice how low I stayed. I did not step to catch, stand up, turn, and throw. The second way that we can make this throw over to second base from the position of second base is we are approaching this ball, step to catch, and now, instead of just dropping my knee and throwing, I'm going to step back and open up with my throwing side foot and throw to my target. This is probably a more advanced version, and again, is something I would maybe be more inclined to use if I was more in front of the base path and needed to open up to a target that maybe is parallel to or behind my shoulder. Since I'm back here behind the baseline and I can see my target, either one is really acceptable. It's kind of up to you and what you're comfortable with and feel that you have time to do. But I'd recommend giving both a try, seeing what you're comfortable with, mastering both, and then getting yourself in a situation with some live ground balls where you can mess around and see which one works better in what situations. I gave you some examples of where I personally would use either one, but take some time to experiment, make mistakes, and then use trial and error to prevent those mistakes from happening and see which one works best for you. It's time to review common mistakes with this throw. The first and probably most common mistake is players have approached this ball, they step to catch, and instead of just dropping the knee and throwing, or instead of just opening up and throwing and staying low, they stand up, either by the knee dropping or they stand up when they get ready to throw. Again, this takes time and costs us energy that we do not want to sacrifice. The second, probably bigger mistake that I see is players step to catch, and instead of transferring straight back to their throwing slot, they gather the ball into their stomach and then get up to throw. Again, this is slow and a lot less efficient and is something we can and want to avoid. always transfer the ball. You're essentially just redirecting the spot of the catch over to your throwing slot or your throwing side ear. And the third and final common mistake I see with this throw, but also the throw where you're opening up with your glove side foot, is players step to catch, and this step back to open up is small and controlled. But players may open up all the way, and this just costs us time and energy that we don't need or want to waste. Make sure your step back or opening up step is controlled and is just a small step that's just enough to get your shoulders and chest pointed to your target. All right, Lefty, it's time for a demo for you. So in this example, I am at second base and I'll be throwing to first base or towards your throwing hand side. So I've been charging this ball, I approach with my throwing side foot, I step to catch with my glove side foot, and then as I transfer, I drop my glove side knee down to the ground. So now my chest and shoulders are pointed to my target so that I can throw and follow through. The alternative is where you step back now with your throwing side foot. We step back with the foot that's on the side of our body to where we're throwing. So here I'm approaching with my throwing side foot, step to catch off my glove side foot. Now as I transfer back, I open up so that I can step and throw over to my target. Thank you for watching Chapter 8 of my softball protocol. I hope you enjoyed getting to learn more about some advanced footwork concepts we might use in the infield. Stay tuned for Chapter 9 and I'll review some advanced glove work concepts. As always, let me know what questions I can answer for you.